So Greatness Revealed. That's what we're calling it, Boone? It's going to be
That's
Greatness
it.
Revealed?
Well, with two hosts like us, why could it be?
Well, sure. Well, I think it's more the guests for the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame.
Coming up Tuesday, November 11th, we got a nice event. Tom, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the Convention Center will be a great event. Perfect.
Go to this website, get a ticket. Let's go meet our first guest.
First guest. Here we go. Welcome to Greatness Revealed, the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame program highlighting our inductees, future inductees, and we're going to talk to some past inductees as the days and weeks move forward. Today we have Mike Buczkowski with us, the president of Rich Baseball Operations. He is a 2025 inductee. He will be in just a few weeks. And Mike, great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming up and talking to us.
Yeah, love being here, Burnsy. Should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night. Mike is one of our 12 inductees for the class of 2025. Mike, you've had some time now since the press conference, since President John Maddock called you the first time to tell you were one of the inductees, and then the press event, and some time to reflect on what this means to you, what it might mean to your family and people close to you, and what are some of those thoughts that you think of when you think about this night as it approaches more quickly and quickly?
Yeah, more quickly and quickly. You know, when I first got the call from John, that was months ago, and you thought, oh, we got time. We got the whole summer. We got, it's not till November, and now here we are. It's right around the corner. So the pressure is mounting to make sure that I deliver a good message and have some fun at the night. But yeah, it hasn't gotten old for me at all. I feel that same overwhelming excitement and being grateful for being recognized that I did the night that John Maddock called. And, I don't think it'll ever get old. It's quite a thing. It's nothing that I expected. I wasn't thinking about it. And, I think I told the story. John Maddock called me and said, and I thought, well, he's probably calling about the Bison sponsorship. I forgot. I got to get that taken care of. And I called him back and he said, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the sponsorship. I said, yeah, John, I was thinking about that sponsorship. I'll get that taken care of. He goes, okay, good. Well, the Bisons can sponsor you. And it just didn't hit me. I thought, what do you mean? He said, the Bisons can sponsor you. You've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it was a great way to find out how I was being inducted.
Yeah, that's excellent. And as you think about it now, have you gone to the website? I know you used to be on the board, so you're very familiar with the hall and the board and the committee and everything. Have you gone to the website since you have learned you're going in and looked at some of the other names? I know you know a lot of the names anyway, but have you looked at those names and thought, where you fit in that place of names of the legends of Western New York sports history?
That's the part that really, is just, it's surreal. It's, I grew up watching and watching some of the, and I'm not going in as an athlete, but I think about Rick Azar and Van Miller and Vic Carucci last year and some of the other contributors that are in, that people that I grew up watching. And then when I started with the Bisons, I had great fortune of getting to know and working with them in the media, and to just see your name next to that is it's surreal. It's like I said, I still have that same feeling I did the night John called me, and I don't know. I guess I hope that I always have that feeling.
Hey, Mike, you're a little unique because you were on the comms, the communication side. Now you're more administrative. Talk about that a little bit, and talk about how you've transitioned and how that kind of changed and maybe made you a better administrator.
Well, I think I was very fortunate. Obviously, I joined the Bisons at a time when War Memorial Stadium was closing. Then Pilot Field was just opening. The Bisons were trying to get a major league expansion team, and I work for great people. The Riches are phenomenal. I couldn't be any luckier than to have landed with them. But they're local people. They love Buffalo, and they were always public relations conscious. They always wanted us to be looking at from a fan's point of view or a customer's point of view. How are they going to view things? Are they going to enjoy the things we're doing? So as a PR director, I was included in a lot of planning meetings And that really was my education into the business side of it. I was on, as you said, the communication side, and I was doing that work. But because they wanted everything to be vetted, I was in on business strategy meetings and sales meetings and marketing meetings and operations meetings, and the curtain was pulled back for me to be able to see the whole business of what the Bisons and what minor league baseball is all about. And and that's I think that really helped me transition into the more of the administration side.
At the dinner itself, you get 4 or 5 minutes to talk to the audience at your induction. Have you thought about what you might say? And you mentioned about a message, but have you thought about what you might say at that night?
Yeah, I have, and I don't have anything finalized yet. And I know each inductee has a thank you page, right? Because I could spend the whole 5 minutes just thanking the number of people that have, helped me along the way. I couldn't have been more fortunate. I mentioned the riches and my family, my friends, the people that I've worked with over the years. I was in the right place at the right time. But I think, what I want to be able to do is just highlight maybe a few things. Got it narrowed down to a couple of maybe different stories that are behind the scenes that are probably people never heard of to make it interesting. But I was talking with Boone earlier, and having your family there to me is more pressure than standing out on the field talking to 18,000 fans. They're just faces in the crowd at that point. But when you have your family and your friends that are coming, it's starting to feel the pressure a little bit.
Do you have any stories from that opening of the park back in '88?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. And that's one actually that I'm considering talking about is actually opening day, which was one of the greatest days in Buffalo sports history. And I know we were talking earlier with the Bills opening their new stadium, but just getting ready for that stadium. We used to give people tours when it wasn't quite ready. And Mike Bellani, who was the general manager and master marketer, he'd take you through this tour, and there was mud and there was all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the tours, he would give you a certificate to Colvin Cleaners, his family cleaner, but not for free. It was like a 50% off. So he was generating some business for the cleaners. But I remember, after a while, you kind of knew where things were, but you really didn't. But nobody knew. So you could say, yeah, this is going to be where the section's going to be. This is going to be. Nobody knew. So you were right no matter what you said during the tour.
And over the course of your great career with the Bisons, Mike, and nowadays people don't do that. You've worked for essentially one organization the whole time. So you look back at that whole thing. Great moments. Are there one or two or three that stick out with whether it's the team, whether it's attendance stuff or success in other ways? What do you look back at highlights of your career?
Yeah, there's definitely a few. I think opening the ballpark is definitely up there. You have to include the championships. I've been fortunate to be. I was a general manager when we won 3 championships. Winning that championship at home in 20, and with Marty Brown as the manager in 2004, that was really something because the other 2 were done on the road, and be able to do it in front of the home crowd was great. But I think some of the other things, Bernsey, are the 25th annual AAA All-Star Game. We had hosted the first one, right? It was the first year of the ballpark. We were selling out the ballpark. We had 9,000 season ticket holders. It was kind of expected that would be sold out. But then 25 years later to host it again, I remember thinking this is going to be a daunting challenge. Will people still come out the way they did for the first one? And we did. We sold out the home run derby the day before, and we sold out the game. And I think about that. And then, of course, the Blue Jays coming to Buffalo. Those 2 crazy years, the first year with no fans and then the second year with fans. It was historic, and you knew it was going to be historic. You knew this was something people were going to be talking about for years and years and years. And so to be part of that, I felt that it was special as we were doing it, not just looking back now. It still is special, but as we were doing it, we knew it was something that was going to be pretty special for Buffalo.
That's great. And then back to the dinner itself, or the announcement that you're going to go in. That moment you found out. I know a lot of people. We know a lot of the same people. I'm sure a number of them were kidding you about it. But what did your mom say when you called your mom and told her, and what was her reaction? Yeah, my mom was. I think she was taken back as much as I was, and she was saying, "Well, that's the Bison's Hall of Fame." And I said, "No, this is the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame. This is,
this is about everybody in Buffalo or Western New York or our region. And her dad, Huck Gary, my grandfather, played in the major leagues for the Pirates for a couple of years. And so baseball has always been around me, of course, always around my mom, and I think then we both started thinking about my grandfather, Grandpa Huck, and I think it was a little emotional for her that it's pretty cool that his grandson got to have a career, not playing baseball but being on the administrative side. And so she's proud as can be, and tells everybody, has been telling everybody since then. Anytime we run into something, Mike is going in the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Did
My son's
your great grandfather play for the Bisons too?
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
played as a young kid, played AAA, and then for the Pirates a couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's probably your mother's probably people. My son's a doctor. Yeah, my son's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, right.
Well, Mike, Greatness Reveal, this is wonderful. Thanks for spending some time with us to talk about your induction to the Hall of Fame and this year's dinner. And we look forward to seeing you and all the other inductees. What do you think about the class you're going in with? I know you probably know a couple of them. John Murphy certainly is one, and talk about you've worked with him. But the other inductees, when you look at this year's class,
Yeah, you look at and I think the Hall of Fame board does a great job every year in having a diverse class, different sports, different athletes, contributors, and you look at this class and it's just as amazing as all of the classes. But Murph for sure, before I got hired at the Bisons, I was an intern at WBEN, and one of the things I did is I helped Murph out during his one-on-one sports show, and he was the first person to ever let me on the air. I went to a Timon High School basketball game. It was a big game, and Murph said, "Well, why don't you call in on the phone? We'll put you on." And I was like, "What do you mean you're going to put me on?" "Yeah, we're going to put you on." And so I did a short report for him at halftime, and then gave the update, and nobody's more deserving than Murph to go in.
Yeah, you're great inductee, great class, some Olympians, and wonderful class. Mike, thanks for being with us. Greatness Revealed. Boone Enzer, thank you for putting this all together. We are looking forward to a great induction ceremony on November the 11th at the Greater Buffalo Niagara Convention Center. So we're looking forward to that. You can get your tickets at the Hall of Fame website. Mike, thanks for being with us. Congratulations again. Greatness Revealed.
Perfect.